His wife left him with 2 dying babies and vanished. He thought it was the end until a kind nurse walked in, and their story changed forever. Can you guess what happened next? Stay tuned to Innocent Stories to find out. If you're just tuning into Innocent Stories for the first time, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Also, tell us where you're watching from. The hospital corridor was silent, almost too quiet. The walls were pale and cold. Kola sat on the edge of a bench outside the doctor's office, his fingers tightly locked together, his feet shaking lightly. The nurse had called him in 5 minutes ago. 5 very long, very heavy minutes ago, but he hadn't moved. He just kept praying under his breath. Lord, please let everything be fine. Please. Finally, the door opened slowly. The doctor poked his head out with a small smile. Mr. Kola, please come in. Kola stood up on shaky legs. His heart pounded as he entered the office. The room was clean and neat. A stethoscope hung on the wall. The doctor was young, probably in his early 40s, with soft eyes and a serious face. He gestured for Kola to sit. Kola sat. The doctor sighed and began. Mr. Kola, there's good news and there's bad news. Kola's mouth opened, but no words came out. He stared, frozen. The good news is your wife has delivered safely. Kola's eyes widened. She has? Yes. The doctor nodded, smiling softly. Twin boys? Kola gasped. Twins? The doctor nodded again. Yes, 2 beautiful boys. Kola jumped to his feet. Thank you, Jesus. Twins? My wife gave birth to twins. He did a small circle around the office like he was dancing, laughing with joy. Ah, my enemies have failed. Oh, twins. Twins. The doctor smiled politely, but didn't laugh. Kola noticed and slowed down. You said there's bad news, too. The doctor's smile faded. He cleared his throat, folded his hands on the table, and said gently, yes. The boys were born too early. They are very premature. Kola's smile dropped slowly. There were complications, the doctor continued. Their lungs are underdeveloped, very weak, and their bones, too. They are extremely fragile. Their immunity is also very low, dangerously weak. Kola blinked. The doctor looked him in the eyes. They might never be able to walk, and right now they can't breathe on their own. They'll have to stay in the neonatal intensive care unit for a long time, possibly months. Kola's mouth opened again, but this time it stayed open. His chest rose, and felt like he had just run across Lagos. Sir, he whispered. The doctor leaned forward. I'm really sorry, Mr. Kola. I know this is hard, but we will do everything we can. However, the process will be expensive and slow. Kola couldn't hear anything else. His ears rang. His fingers tightened around each other like ropes. The joy that filled his chest just minutes ago had vanished, replaced by fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of money. Fear of the future. His legs shook. Can I see my wife? He whispered. Yes, the doctor nodded. She's resting. She's stable. Kola got up slowly. Thank you, doctor. As he stepped into the hallway, the silence followed him again. He walked like someone who had lost his way. When he reached the maternity ward, he saw her, his wife, Rose, lying weakly on the hospital bed, but smiling faintly when she saw him. She looked so tired. Her hair was scattered, her eyes heavy, but the smile remained. They said it's twins, she whispered. Kola sat beside her, and nodded. Yes, he said, then paused. But there's something else. Rose's smile dropped. What is it? She asked. Kola swallowed. His voice was shaking. They were born too early. The doctor said their lungs are not strong, and their bones very weak. He paused, tears building in his eyes. They might not be able to walk or even live a normal life. Rose stared at him. They said our boys may not survive if they're not kept in the intensive unit for months. They can't breathe on their own. There was silence. Then Rose burst into tears. The kind of tears that came from deep inside. The kind that twisted her face. Kola held her hand tightly and cried with her. In that room, with all the machines beeping quietly in the background, two broken hearts cried together. Not because they didn't want the children, but because they already loved them too much to imagine losing them. After a long silence, Kola wiped his face. I don't care what the doctor said, he whispered. We will fight. Even if it means cleaning gutters every day. Even if it means sleeping in the taxi park. I will fight for those boys. You hear me, Rose? Rose nodded, still crying. I will do everything I can, he said again. That night, while the twins slept inside glass boxes in the NICU, with tubes in their tiny noses, Kola stood at the glass window watching them. So small, so still, machines breathing for them. He placed his palm on the glass. Your daddy is here, he whispered. I'm not going anywhere. He stood there for a long time watching them, as the first storm in their lives began to gather. But what happened next will shock you. Keep watching Innocent Stories to see how this story unfolds. For the next few weeks, the hospital was now their second home. Kola came every morning before sunrise and left late at night. He would stand beside the NICU glass window for hours, watching the twins breathe with the help of machines. Every beat made his heart skip. Every small movement of their tiny bodies felt like a miracle. He prayed over them, sang softly, whispered to them like they could hear. The doctor said the boys had a long way to go, but they were stable for now. As long as the machines kept running and medications were administered around the clock, but those machines came with bills, heavy bills. Every day, a new bill. Every hour, a new receipt. Oxygen, drugs, feeding tubes, monitoring, lab work, more tests. Kola's heart bled each time he saw the numbers rise. He had nothing left. No savings, no backup plan. The only thing he had, his taxi, was now gone. He had sold it to cover the first deposit. Now he was jobless. But worse, he was helpless. Rose had been discharged and was back home resting. The birth had taken a toll on her body. She looked thin and pale. She barely spoke. Kola tried to remain strong for her. He cooked when there was food. He fetched water. He massaged her feet. One night, as they sat in silence, eating watery Gary with no sugar, Rose stared at the wall for a long time, then stood up suddenly and walked into the bedroom. Kola didn't ask questions. He thought she just needed rest. But that night, while he slept, Rose picked up her phone and did something she hadn't done in almost a year. She called her mother. The line rang once, twice, then connected. Hello. Her mother's sharp voice came through. Rose froze. Mommy, it's me. Rose. A long pause. Oh, so you still remember you have a mother? Her mother replied coldly. Mommy, please. I know I made a mistake, but I need help. Ah, so now you know it was a mistake. When we told you not to marry that poor taxi man, you called us enemies. Now look at you, just 1 year into the marriage, and your life has turned upside down. Mommy, please. My sons are still in the hospital. They were born sick. They can't breathe on their own. Their lungs and bones are very weak. The doctor said they might not survive, and the bills. We can't pay. Whose fault is that? Her mother snapped. If you had married Bio like we said, would you be crying like this now? You chose poverty. Now enjoy it. Mommy, please don't say that. What about my children? My husband? I can't just abandon them. Those ones are not children. Her mother hissed. You said they have weak lungs and weak bones. Can't breathe on their own. They won't even live long. What are you staying there for? Waste of time. Waste of youth. Come back home, and leave that church rat. Let us take care of you. Mommy, please. But the line had already cut. Rose dropped the phone on the bed, and sat in silence, her face wet with tears. The next day, Kola left early to do odd jobs, cleaning a compound, scrubbing toilets in a small bank. He earned just enough to buy 1 loaf of bread, and 2 sachets of pure water. He came home tired, and dusty. Rose, he called out as he stepped in. No answer. Rose, I bought bread. He walked to the bedroom, empty. The wardrobe was open. Her clothes were gone. Her shoes, her bags, even her wrapper gone. On the bed, folded neatly, was a piece of paper. Kola dropped the bread, and picked it up with trembling hands. His eyes scanned the page, his breath caught. Kola, I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. I've tried. I really have. But this life, this suffering, it's not for me. Even the babies. The doctor said they may not survive. I'm not strong enough to watch them die. You're a good man, but I can't follow you into this kind of darkness. Please don't come looking for me. I've gone back to my family. Rose. Kola sat on the floor. He didn't cry. He couldn't even breathe. The letter fell from his hand. He sat there staring at the wall, alone, abandoned. He got up slowly, picked up the loaf of bread, and placed it on the table for no one. His legs gave way. He knelt on the floor, and finally let out the first sound, a groan, deep, broken, low. He pressed his hands against his face. God, please. Not this, too. At the hospital that evening, he stood by the glass again, staring at the boys. Now more than ever, he needed them to survive. He placed both palms on the glass, and whispered, You two are all I have now. Kola sat on the long wooden bench outside the NICU ward. His back hunched like a man who had just buried his future. His eyes were empty. His shirt had lost all shape. His slippers were flat like a car, and his heart heavy. Rose was gone. The love of his life. The woman he fought his family for. The woman he watched cry on their wedding day. The mother of his sons, gone. He had come home yesterday to see the wardrobe empty. Her clothes gone. Her shoes vanished. Even the plastic hanger she used to slap mosquitoes was missing. But she didn't forget to leave a note, a calm, quiet note saying she was tired, that she had suffered enough, that the twins were probably not going to survive anyway. I'm not cut out for this kind of life. That line kept ringing in Kola's head like a broken church bell. Now he sat there like a piece of nylon in the wind, watching strangers walk past him, while his own children, his blood, were locked inside transparent boxes with machines breathing for them. Every beep from the NICU monitor made his body twitch. He was already owing over 4 million naira. The doctor had calmly told him that if nothing changed, the hospital would have no choice but to remove the boys from the machines. Kola remembered the sentence clearly. We may have to discontinue treatment. Discontinue. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. He had been going from house to house, washing cars, clearing gutters, sweeping compounds, anything. One woman even asked him to pick beans, a full paint bucket. And when he finished, she gave him 800 naira and a piece of cold dodo. He nearly cried. Now here he was, broken, and breathless. He bent forward on the bench and covered his face with his hands. The tears came quietly. I'm finished, he whispered. That was when someone sat beside him. Sir, he ignored the voice. Hello, sir. Are you okay? Still no answer. Then he felt a soft hand tap his back gently. He looked up slowly, his eyes already wet. Standing there was a nurse. She looked kind, like someone that knew how to say sorry even before hearing the problem. My name is Rachel, she said calmly. I've seen you here often. You always sit here. Are you okay? Kola sniffed and wiped his face quickly, trying to compose himself. I'm fine, he muttered. Rachel raised one brow. You're clearly not fine. Your eyes are swollen like Puff Puff. Kola almost chuckled, but the pain didn't let him. He looked away. My wife left me, he said quietly. Rachel's eyes widened. She what? She packed everything, gone. Left only a note on the bed like an Amazon delivery. Rachel sat fully now, no longer standing. Why? She said she's tired. That this kind of suffering is not her portion. She said the twins may not even survive, so what's the point? Rachel slowly placed her hand on her chest. She said that, just like that? Kola nodded. She left me with 2 sick babies and a 4 million naira hospital bill. Rachel looked like someone who just bit pepper. She hissed quietly. The kind of hiss that came from the liver. So what now? She asked. What are you doing? What can I do? Kola said. I'm working random jobs to get small money. I even helped one woman chase chickens out of her shop yesterday. She paid me 500 naira and cold Fanta. Now the doctor is saying they'll stop treatment. If they stop those machines, those boys, they're gone. Rachel blinked fast. She looked like she had seen enough pain for one day. Sir, what's your name? Kola. She nodded. Mr. Kola, do you believe in miracles? Kola gave a tired laugh. Madam, I don't even believe in tomorrow. Rachel nodded slowly. Then she said something that made Kola sit up. I want to help you. He blinked. Help me how? I want to pay the hospital bills. Kola stood immediately. Sorry. Pay what? I've seen you. I've seen the way you sit by the glass every day, whispering to those boys like they're listening. I've seen the way you stand there for hours like a soldier. I've seen you suffer, sir. Kola's mouth stayed open. Rachel smiled gently. I don't have children. I've been married before, for 10 years. No baby. My husband left me. He brought in another woman, and she got pregnant immediately. I've spent my life helping other women deliver children, but I've never held my own. Kola was quiet. Rachel looked at the NICU ward. But when I see those boys, I don't know. Something in me wakes up. Kola was still frozen, trying to understand what was happening. I've been saving money for years. I'll also take a cooperative loan from my office. I want to pay for their treatment. I want to help you. Kola's lips trembled. Why? I don't know, she said softly. But I know one thing. Those boys must live. They must survive. I believe they will. Kola slowly sat back down, then leaned forward again and covered his face. He tried to hold it in, but the tears burst out. Not loud, not wild, just steady, deep sobs. He cried like someone who had been holding pain inside his bones. Rachel placed her hand gently on his back and rubbed it slowly. It's okay, she whispered. You're not alone anymore. 3 days later, Rachel did what most people only talk about. She walked into the accounts office, paid off the entire bill, and even paid a month ahead. The doctors looked at the receipt in shock. Please give those boys the best care, she told them. Give them everything they need. That evening, Kola stood beside the NICU window like always. But this time, his hand wasn't shaking. He pressed his palm gently to the glass. Daddy is still here, he whispered. Behind him, Rachel watched from a distance, holding a small bag of baby diapers. And in that moment, a new story began. The boys came home after 6 long months. Kola stood at the door of his tiny one-room apartment, staring at the 2 baby carriers on the ground. It didn't feel real. The twins were finally home. His boys, his miracles. 2 soft-skinned, sleepy champions with wires and tiny machines still strapped to their fragile bodies. They looked like little kings, but not normal kings. Kings with oxygen tubes and weekly injections. Rachel helped carry them inside and set up everything. There were beeping machines, medication trays, breathing support, syrups, wipes, a feeding chart, and a long list of do's and don'ts the doctors gave them. The don'ts were long like Lagos traffic. Don't expose them to noise. Don't take them outside too often. Don't allow too many visitors. Don't feed them with normal baby food yet. Don't cry too much around them. They can feel energy. That last one nearly broke Kola, because all he did now was cry. Every time he looked at his sons, their small faces, their bandaged arms, the tubes on their noses, the tears would rush out like his body was leaking from inside. "Daddy, why are you crying again?" he imagined them asking. And he'd reply, "Because your lungs are still learning how to breathe, and I don't know what else to do but love you." Rachel became more than a nurse. She became family. She came every morning before work, carried the boys, wiped their tiny bodies, measured their medicine, washed their clothes, helped Kola organize the room. Then after work, she would come again, even when she was tired, even when it rained. Kola once asked her, "Rachel, do you ever rest?" She laughed and said, "When they grow up and become billionaires, they'll buy me a house in Banana Island. That's when I'll rest." As they were talking, one of the twins sneezed in his sleep. Kola jumped up. "Rachel, come. This one just sneezed twice. Should we boil water? Should I call doctor?" Rachel, who was arranging medications on a plastic chair, looked up and said, laughing, "Kola, it's just a sneeze. Not rapture. Sit down." Kola Saturday 10 minutes later, the other twin coughed. Kola jumped again. "Rachel. This one just coughed. Should I run to the hospital?" Rachel didn't even look up from what she was doing. She just pointed to the bottle of warm water beside her. "Give him 2 drops. He's fine. If you shout again, I will give you the drops." Kola smiled sheepishly. "Sorry, nurse." "Kola, stop watching them like a retired hawk. Allow them to sleep, or do you want me to give you sleeping injection?" she teased, laughing. Kola burst out laughing that day. His first real laugh in months, but the laughter didn't last long, because reality was still knocking. The house rent was due in 3 weeks. The landlord had already called twice, talking nonsense like, "I'm not running charity here, and babies don't equal free rent." The baby supplies Rachel brought were running low, and Kola still hadn't gotten a stable job. One day, as he was returning from a small job where he helped an old man arrange his mechanic shed for 2,000 naira, he met the landlord standing at the entrance. The man was folding his arms like an angry prophet. "Kola, your rent is due soon." "I know, sir. I'm trying. I don't want stories." "Oh, if you cannot pay, vacate the room." "Sir, please." 2 weeks. That's all. 2 weeks, or you and those babies will be outside." The man turned and walked away, his stomach bouncing like pride. Kola stood there, speechless, tired. He wanted to disappear into the ground, just vanish like salt and water. That evening, Rachel came again. She saw the look on his face and paused. "What happened?" she asked. Kola sighed. "The landlord said we have 2 weeks." Rachel bit her lip. "Okay, let me talk to someone." Kola frowned. "Who?" Rachel looked him in the eye. "My aunt. She owns a small flat in a quiet compound. She told me 1 room is free. If you don't mind moving, we can go and ask her." Kola blinked. "Really?" Rachel nodded. "We'll go tomorrow." That night, Kola couldn't sleep. Not because of the babies. They were resting peacefully, but because someone who didn't know him anything, kept showing up again and again, sacrificing money, time, energy, just to help him survive. He knelt by the baby's bed and prayed. But his prayer wasn't even long. It was just 1 line. "God, if this woman ever cries, please wipe her tears faster than lightning." The next day, they went to Rachel's aunt's house. Her name was Mama Femi. A big woman with eyebrows drawn like they were fighting. She wore a wrapper on her chest, had a chewing stick in her mouth, and looked like someone that didn't believe in hello. Only in what do you want? Good afternoon, Ma. Kola greeted politely. She looked him up and down. This is the man I told you about, Rachel said gently. The one with the twin babies. Mama Femi hissed. Is he the one that impregnated and ran? Rachel blinked. No, Ma. He's the father. The mother ran. Mama Femi's face softened a little. Aha. Yes, Ma. Where are the babies? They're outside in the car. Rachel replied. We just brought them to show you. Mama Femi stepped out, looked into the car, and saw the babies sleeping like pure innocence. Machines still beside them, syringes in their bag. One of them coughed lightly in his sleep. Her face changed. She touched her chest and said softly, My God, these children must live. Oh. And just like that, she gave them the room. No rent for the first 6 months. She said, use that money to take care of them. Kola nearly fainted. He held her 2 hands like someone who just saw Angel Gabriel. Ma, may your children never lack. May your wrapper never tear. May your compound never flood. Mama Femi laughed. Go, and carry your babies inside before mosquitoes bite them. That night, Kola and the twins moved into their new room. He stood at the door, watching them sleep peacefully in their fresh crib. A real bed, a real roof, no insults, no landlord barking threats like a wounded goat. He turned to Rachel, who was folding clothes beside the wall, and said gently, I don't know what I did to deserve you. Rachel looked up and smiled. You gave birth to greatness. And for the first time, Kola believed it. He truly believed it. Moving into Mama Femi's house gave Kola and the twins a second chance. The room wasn't big, but it was peaceful. The roof didn't leak. The walls didn't threaten to collapse, and nobody shouted at him for being broke. For the first time in months, Kola could exhale. But that didn't mean life became easy. Kola woke up before dawn every day, and chased jobs like rent was chasing him. He packed cement at building sites, helped mechanics carry engine parts, pushed broken-down cars, and even helped women at the market carry baskets on his head. If you blinked twice in that neighborhood, you would see Kola doing one hustle or the other, sweating, panting, smiling through it all. He'd come home late, his shirt soaked like he went swimming in poverty. Yet he'd still bend over to boil pap, bathe the twins, and check their medications like a trained nurse. Even Mama Femi started noticing. One evening, she looked at him and said, Kola, are you planning to marry suffering, or you think suffering is your destiny helper? Kola just laughed and wiped his face with the corner of his shirt. On one occasion, Kola was contracted to fill in for a cleaner at a big restaurant. The pay was little, but he wasn't picky at this point. He went into work that hot Thursday afternoon to resume his shift. And just as work started to pick up, a customer walked into the lavish restaurant. It wasn't just any customer. It was Rose, in flesh and blood, with smooth skin and expensive outfits. She was with another man, smiling like a Christmas goat at his jokes. And she was pregnant when their sons were still fighting for their lives, still connected to machines to breathe and feed. Kola was shocked and so heartbroken that he walked out of the restaurant with the last dignity he had left inside his faded shirt and flat slippers. And he never looked back. But when he got home, he went into the bathroom and cried like a baby, and then swore to forget Rose and move on and fight for his sons. For the next few days, he buried himself in work to numb his pains and frustrations. Rachel noticed one evening after feeding the twins, she wiped her hands and called him aside. Kola, come let me talk to you. He wiped his sweaty face with the hem of his shirt. Hope no wala. No wala, just solution. I want to help you buy another taxi. Kola froze. How? With what? Rachel leaned closer. There's a cooperative loan in my hospital. I've been saving there. I'll collect a loan this week. Use it to get you a second-hand taxi. Something manageable. You can drive and make steady money. This menial work is killing you. Cola shook his head slowly. Rachel, you've done enough. You gave me a place to sleep. You feed my children. You bathe them. You gave me your time, your energy, and now money, too. No, I can't let you do this. Rachel looked him straight in the eye. Letting you suffer when there's a better way. That's what I can't do. Just agree. Let me help. Cola swallowed hard. His throat was tight. Okay, I agree. But one day, I'll pay it back. Every kobo. Rachel smiled. I know. That's why I'm doing it. That week, she got the loan. They bought a dusty, humble blue and yellow taxi with a cracked bumper and faded paint, but it moved. And that was all Cola needed. He returned to the road like a lion, chasing redemption. He worked every day. School runs, market trips, hospital drop-offs, church Sundays. He saved. He bought medicine. He stocked baby food. He even got small matching shirts for the twins with "Strong Boys" written on the front. In a few years, he paid off the loan. Rachel almost cried when he handed her the cash. Take it, he said, voice thick. Every kobo, you helped me stand. Now, let me help you breathe. Rachel hugged him and said, this is just the beginning. By the time the twins turned 5, their lives had changed. They didn't need machines anymore. No more oxygen tubes, or panic beeping in the middle of the night. They were better. They ate solid food. They laughed. They played with plastic toys, but they couldn't walk. They didn't crawl. Their legs were thin like chewing sticks. Their muscles slow. Doctors said it might take time. Other kids ran, jumped, climbed. But Jude and John just sat and clapped, waved their arms, rolled gently from side to side. It hurt Cola deeply, but he didn't show it. He stayed strong. He carried them like kings. He loved them loudly. When they turned 6, something shifted. They started crawling slowly, like snails learning to dance. At first, it was just dragging legs and rocking. Then one day, weeks after their 7th birthday, John pulled himself up by the chair. Rachel gasped. He stood, shaking like watery pap inside a cup, then took one step, then another, then fell. Rachel screamed, Cola. He wasn't home. When he returned that night, Rachel told him everything. Cola shook his head. He walked. Are you sure it wasn't wind that pushed him? Rachel gave him the side eye. Come and see yourself. Days passed. Then one evening, as Cola bent down to tie his shoelace, John got up and took 4 full steps straight toward his father. Cola's mouth dropped. His heart left his chest. He screamed so loud, even Mama Femi upstairs dropped her spoon. He's walking. John is walking. He lifted the boy and spun him gently, shouting, laughing, crying all at once. A few days later, Jude joined the movement. He didn't want to be left behind. He stood, staggered, wobbled, and walked. In a few months, the boys started running inside the house like small rats. Cola looked at Rachel and said, so, these chewing stick legs can walk, eh? I was already planning to carry them to university. Rachel laughed so hard, she rolled on the bed. Cola sat that night, watching the boys chase each other with their matching t-shirts and missing front teeth. He wiped his eyes. From tubes and injections to this. From death's doorstep to running laps in the parlor. God really had a sense of humor. The house had changed. Not in size, not in furniture, not in paint, but in feel. It felt like joy now lived there permanently. Like sorrow was no longer paying rent. John and Jude were now little comedians, dragging their tiny legs across the tiled floor like they were running relay races. Every day, they wanted to play ball. Morning, afternoon, night, football. Even when the ball rolled under the bed, they would crawl after it like puppies. Cola would sit back after work, watching them kick around their rubber ball, and whispered to himself, now, these same boys no fit crawl before. They were also obsessed with watching football on TV. Morning cartoons, no interest. But once Premier League started, they'd sit like elders in a viewing center, wide-eyed, silent, and fully focused. Rachel once joked, these boys will become the next Messi one day. Cola scoffed and laughed. With those chewy stick legs? Rachel burst into laughter. Don't discourage your future billionaires. She even bought them a small football from the hospital market. That evening, they ran around the house chasing it like puppies chasing a butterfly. They giggled, fell, rolled, and picked themselves up. Cola smiled from the corner. His heart was full. That night, after the boys had fallen asleep from their self-imposed World Cup match, Cola and Rachel sat outside, the breeze soft and warm. He cleared his throat. Rachel. Yes. You've been more than kind to us, more than helpful. You've been everything. Rachel looked away. Don't make me cry. I'm serious. Cola said, this place, it's no longer home unless you're in it. She blinked. Are you saying what I think you're saying? He nodded. Move in. Be part of us officially. The boys already see you as their mother. I see you as more than an angel. Before she could respond, two tiny voices whispered behind the curtain. Mommy Rachel, please move in. Cola turned. The twins were peeking out with sleepy eyes and wide grins. Rachel laughed softly, then looked back at Cola. I'll think about it. That night, after she left, Cola sat in bed for a while, staring at his phone. Then he picked it up and texted her, Are you home? Have you thought about it? She replied a few minutes later, Yes, I'm home. And yes, I'm thinking. She sat on the edge of her bed, hugging her pillow. Her heart had been misbehaving lately. She didn't even know when or where it started, but somewhere along the line, feelings had crept in. Uninvited, stubborn feelings. She had fallen for Cola, not because he was perfect, but because he wasn't. Because he tried. Because he loved those boys so loudly. Because he made her laugh, even when life wasn't funny. But she was scared. She didn't want to complicate things. Cola had been through too much. What if he didn't feel the same way? What if this was just one-sided foolishness? What if what he felt was gratitude, not love? Meanwhile, Cola was lying on the other side of town, unable to sleep. He kept replaying her voice in his head, her laughter, her touch when she tucked in the boys. He had feelings, too, serious ones. But he couldn't afford to gamble with something so fragile. What if she only cared out of pity? What if he ruined their friendship by confessing? So he turned off his phone, pulled the blanket over his head, and slept beside the same fear Rachel was holding on her own side. This is not the end. Stay tuned to Innocent Stories for the next episode. And until we bring the next episode your way, bye for now.